Last time out in Global Ventures, I completed the Odyssey of the Olympians section of the park, wrapping up our Greek-themed area nicely. The park's coming along great, but it's still missing a standout coaster to pull the guests in. Let's fix that with a record breaker. To be more precise, let's go for the Inversion record. Hey everyone, it's M4J here, and welcome back to Global Ventures here on Planet Coaster 2. It's been a while since I last said those words, but we are back. We're back in the park. We're going to be doing something really cool today, and quite a bit's changed in the game since we were last here. The park itself is basically as it was at the end of the last episode. I don't think I've actually made any changes at all, which is quite rare. One thing I nearly did, and I'll talk about this more in a minute, is rebuilt Foods of the World here. Don't like it. It looks very boring now, and I've seen other people and their creations on Reddit and Facebook and all the other places, and they're awesome, and I'm not. So I'm going to redo this. I've already got some ideas as to how I want it to look. I know restaurants are coming in this month's update. I am not... Actually, at the time of recording this, I don't actually even know when this video is going out yet, so that might already be old news. Excuse me. I'm not going to use this as a restaurant. This is a quick service area, so we're going to keep the food stalls as they are, but we're going to rethink this. Now I'm a bit more experienced with path building. I think what I might do is actually build the building first in this footprint, and then come back and do the paths and the stalls and stuff afterwards. There's the music of Wonders of the World there, which is still running and does still have a queue. And to be honest, I think it only really has a queue because of how slow it moves and how far apart these vehicles are. Were it not for that, it wouldn't have a queue at all, I don't think. I never see anyone go into the Queueline. It's a very old ride now. It's still absolutely massive, mind. Let's not talk about that, though. Let's talk about what's changed in the game since we were last here. Let me get the UI back up as well. There we go. So some things that I'm quite happy about, little bug fixes and things like that. Couple of new de-themed coasters, which is quite exciting. And a new coaster completely, which is the... not that one. Oh boy, this is where I can't find it. Where's Suspended? Let's launch Suspended. There we go. It is the Vector. There we go. The SLC, which in real life, not very exciting. On here, though, quite exciting. So we might do something with that in the future. You never know. I was also looking just now at this area here inside Poseidon's Plunge. And every time I look at it, I just think, what if we put a little island there and a flat ride? Something like that. Because, I mean, this area is huge already. And it's pretty well populated. And I'd say it's pretty much complete. But we've only got one flat ride in the entire park right now. We've got 3 coasters, 1 river rapids, and 1 flat ride. And then a tracked ride here, of course. Technically, we have the railway as well, but that doesn't really count right now because it's not open. So I think, yeah, we could put another flat ride in here, but I'm not going to do that today. In fact, the title of the video will probably give this one away as to what we're doing today, because before we get onto the big part of the update, the other thing about the update, the bit I'm really excited about, which is really nerdy, I know, is staff handovers. Do you remember before, a couple of episodes ago, in fact, I think it was, I was complaining that, let's say this fella here, he's a vendor. No, he's not, he's a ride attendant. Oh, you're a ride attendant too, of course. As soon as I want a vendor, I can't find one. But yeah, you'll do. You're a ride attendant. Let's say you're working over here on Poseidon's Plunge, and it hits 1 o'clock, which is your break time. You're just going to leave. You're going to turn around, you're going to walk out. And the ride's basically going to shut down until someone comes in to replace you. That's not how it works in the real world. So now they have handovers. Now, I've not witnessed this for myself yet, so I don't actually know if it works or not. But my guess would be the first person comes in, does a little animation, this person then leaves. That's what I'm guessing happens. And if that is the case, then I'll be very happy indeed, because that's how it should be, and that also makes my life a lot easier because I'm not sat here watching empty rides. I'm also still not 100% sure why there's only 3 rows here when there should be 4. I'm curious to see what happens. So you get 4 in. You get 8. Okay. And then you get 4 in. And you really need the toilet. My goodness. And you. Go for a wee before you start queuing. And you, fella, with the glasses and the weird haircut. My word. So yeah, staff handovers. That's the other thing. And then the final thing, which I was incredibly excited by, and I could not believe my luck when this was announced, because I'd literally just finished making a video where I was talking about the next area I wanted to build in this park, and I used the words, I might have to improvise a little bit on scenery. And then went and watched Frontier Unlocked, and they announced that the next scenery that was coming to the game, scenery pack I should say, was the Western theme, which is here. Now there have been some complaints, because there's always complaints when something new's added to this game. There are some bits that used to be in Planet Coaster 1 that aren't in Planet Coaster 2. That's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. It's annoying, I admit. There were some things I was looking forward to using that aren't in here yet. And there are some things that I was relying on using that aren't in here yet. But the crux of it is in here. And I think the imagination can run wild with some of the stuff that's missing. So it's not the end of the world. But this is perfect, because the next area we're building is up the hill here. In this area, we're building the Legend of the Frontier. And we're starting that today. And in fact, not only are we starting it today, we're building the area's first coaster. And depending on how long that takes, there may be some other little things along the way as well. Now, I've mentioned this before. You could check out the preview video. Link is in the description down below. But the standout coaster of this area is Bandito Escape the West, or just Bandito for short. The story of the ride is you are a bandit. Clues in the name. And you are robbing the bank in the town of Goldlight, which hasn't been built yet, but will be slowly over the next few episodes. Goldlight Bank is full of gold. The gold seams here are plentiful. Excuse me. If I keep clearing my throat, I've got like recovering from a cold symptoms still, which is very annoying. It's been weeks now. You'd think it would be gone by now, but alas, no. And when your job is to talk into a microphone quite a lot, you find yourself relying on your voice quite a bit. So apologies if I am just like constantly leaning away to clear my throat and stuff. Yeah, you're robbing a bank, basically. That's the plot of the ride. And basically, the queue is you robbing the bank. So the story starts as soon as you join the queue. At the point in which you get on the ride, you've already robbed the bank and you're actually trying to escape. Hence the name Escape the West. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to be an Infinity Coaster by Gerstlauer. Sorry, not Gerstlauer. Gerstlauer. Which is, I had it a second ago, this one. The Jerry St. Lauer Limitless, or as we call it, Gerstlauer Infinity. Now, I'm going to build the station on camera here, because I think we're going to be moving this around a fair bit. So I want to make sure I get it right now. And then we can sort of relax and chill a bit when it comes to actually building the ride. Where's it going to go? That's the first question. So the town of Goldlight is going to be in an L shape. So there's going to be a street down this way, a square, and then a street down this way. Bandito's going to fill this area, and Manic Miner is going to fill the other side, and there'll be other rides dotted in amongst it all as well. I'm really eager this time to make sure that I don't make this too big, because I constantly build things way out of scale. And even Jewel for Olympia here, look how big this coaster ended up actually being and how much space it ended up taking up. And I've been watching this when I came back on the game just now, and it does Jewel in areas. I love this bit. This is the best bit of the Jewel. But there are elements like down here, and especially this back section here where it crosses over, it doesn't Jewel at all. And I really wish it did. It's going to be a while before I build the next dueling coaster in the game, and as I do it, I've already learned to do each bit at a time and work it all out and things like that. So that's going to be fine. But yeah, stop talking, Mark. Start building. I really want to make sure that I get these coasters right, is where I was going with this, because at the end of the day, it's very, 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 very important that I build these correct the first time around, because redoing them is going to be an absolute faff. Is there a snap? There is not. can lift it up like this, I suppose. We can always use advanced move. Actually, do you know what? Let's build it on the ground first, and then I can use advanced move. So let's do this. Actually, you're just an entrance only. Is the plan for this one. So we'll place you like here. And then I need to go back, and then back. Don't go back again. Can I not make you... Did I choose the wrong ride there? I think I chose the wrong ride there. 1 second, everybody. Sorry. Oh, no, I did choose the right ride. I think I just made it too small. So, yeah, you're boarding from the right, which is correct. If I do that... Okay, yeah, so I do need the extra station piece, which is also slightly annoying. Edit mode. Go back this side. Do I seriously need to place some track first? Yep. Apparently I do. Let's do this. I need block brakes, which are... Always forget. That's LSM, friction, trim, block. There we go. Oh my days. You'd think I hadn't built a coaster before. It's been so long. I want... Why is there no option to add... It's because it's there. Catwalk. I do know what I'm doing. I promise you, I do know what I'm doing. Let's build you like that. And then station, exit on the left. Okay. Make sure you are the right size. Yep, you do need to be one more. Of course you do. Okay, and then another block section directly afterwards. Cool. So obviously... Oh, okay. That's how you work. So it's not one per row, it's number of cars. That's interesting. Okay, that's cool. No, I like that. Operation mode, block sectioned. So we can already add technically 3 trains. Technically 4 if this one was longer. But let's move this where I want it. So I want the town of Goldlight. It's going to be a street and then a square. And in the square there's going to be a clock tower, which is going to be very important later on. And then there's going to be the bank, which is part of this ride. And then there's going to be other stuff as well. More on that as we come to it, I guess. The bank building itself is mainly a facade. So we're not going to get too into that right now. Like, you know, trying to make the whole building look good. We only care about the front because the back is only going to be seen from the ride. And even then we're going to use some clever tricks to make it relatively hidden. So you don't need to worry too much about that. Let's stick this on a meter because we need to lift this up. I think 6. Maybe 5. Should be fine. So yeah, we're starting elevated as well. And actually already I'm tempted to not have this in a straight line and put a curve in. If I can get away with that. That would be cool. It very much depends, I guess. So before I go any further with that, let's start looking at paths. So I need to edit this so that it forms a relatively straight edge. Something like that. I guess that's fine. If I was to move this up as well, because how big is 6 meters? Yeah, 6 meters is quite wide, and this, I think 6 meters is probably going to be the standard for a lot of the paths in this park. Now, like the one down here and this one especially, they're a lot wider because this is literally the entrance. So you're going to have hordes of guests pouring in. I might also pause the game for a bit while I'm doing this, just so we don't get too distracted. Now, we have just climbed up a hill to get to this point, but I think we are going to drop down again a little bit into the actual town itself. So something like this isn't the worst. And already I'm thinking I should have made this 8 meters wide, not 6. Because I have just remembered a couple of things. First thing I've just remembered, let's do it like that, is there's actually going to be a dark ride over here. So there's going to be quite a lot of traffic coming down this way as well. This is going to be the site of the old jailhouse, which is going to be a tracked ride. I'd have loved it if they brought back the interactive shooter ride, but they haven't yet. They might in the future, in which case this might get built as that. The other thing is somewhere around here we need to get the water park entrance in. So I think the old jailhouse is going to occupy most of this site here and then down in this direction. And then off here there'll be a path that goes around it and into the water park, which is all of this area. I'm currently debating whether to make the water park indoors or outdoors for the most part, because I've seen some really cool creations as well with indoor water parks. But I think it's going to be mostly outdoors with maybe an indoor section just in case it rains, because here in the UK it's going to rain, let's be honest. Right, so this is going to come down like this. And then at this point it's going to be a western street. So we need to, let's go with the draw tool, and we're going to have straight and an angle snap of 90. And actually we might even have a length snap as well of 2 meters, because I think that's going to force it, yeah, like so. And then here, big long section and a big long section along the edge, which I think is that length. And then if I bring this back, yep. Just going to turn off. Actually, I don't know if that's going to ruin what I'm doing here. I think I can just do that now. Yeah, that's not quite what I had in mind, but it's pretty close. So we'll live with that. And then the square is going to be here. Let's do this. And then let's do it like this. And snap it to that. And that, I think, will fix the angle that we want. And then we're going to do this and a little bit more. And then up this way. And then along the back like this. And in. Now this is just placeholder stuff. It's not entirely accurate. Already I'm thinking it's too big. I think this whole bit here needs to come back down this way a little bit. So let's select all of this. I love the multi-select tool. Not as much as I love this tool. The ability to actually move things. There you go. Look at that. And then the bank, gold light bank, is going to be located off the square here. So now we know where that is. We know where this needs to go, which is going to be like this. Turn it slightly. And then build it like that. And I think if I can get this bit like this, like that, then I'm going to come back into here. And I want to see if I can build this on a curve without it messing up. So station, yeah, exit to the left, please. Neat. And then make sure that that's the right length. Also want to make sure that this, so this station here, your entry speed is going to be quite slow, like 4. Your exit speed can be like 6. I'm fine with that. Your speed here is going to be, first of all, that needs to be right down. And your release speed as well, which means this should be, nope, that's too fast as well. There we go. And then this one, you're kind of the opposite. Your entry speed is going to be that. Your exit speed is going to be 4. Nice. And then you, if I can select you, there you are. Your target speed is going to be 6, which is also going to be your release speed. Nice. We're going to name you now. Bandito Escape the West. We're not going to worry about entrances and exits just yet. I'm also tempted. Actually, no, that will be the case. That's fine. I was going to say something that's completely irrelevant. So the staff gate is going to go here somewhere, and that's going to link to the exit. Which, have I made the exit on the wrong side? Why can't I place the exit as well? Do I have to do the entrance first? Which way round did I have you? Yeah, I want the exit to be on the inside. There we are. So now we know what this is going to look like. We can start actually theming it now. Now, considering... already I'm like, have I done this correctly? All of that... In fact, all of this I think is going to get redone. Because I'm not a huge... Whoops. Did not mean to unpause that. So I'm not a huge fan of how that looks. Okay. And then this is going to come up to here. That's just going to join up to that. This one is going to come up to here. This one is going to join to that. New square will get built off of this because the clock tower, which is going to be opposite the bank here, that's going to contain the big signature element of this ride. If you've watched the preview video, you'll know what that signature element is. If you haven't watched the preview video, let me tell you now, it's going to be epic. So I'm going to go away and I'm going to start theming this building here and trying to make it look really good and really cool. When we come back, we can move on to the next stage of this. I might even build the queue right now as well, because most of the queue is actually going to be outside the building, so there's no need to worry about you know, how the building's going to look and all that stuff. So yeah, I want to play around with the set as well, the new scenery set. I don't particularly want to do that on camera, so I'm going to go away, have a little look at this, and when we come back, we're ready to carry on building the coaster. Alright, a lot of time has passed since the last part. 3 weeks, I believe it's been, since I last sat down and recorded Planet Coaster. I can't remember what I said at the end of the last part, so let's pretend I've done a really nice smooth segue into this section of the video, where I'm showing you this. This is the bank. This is Goldlight Bank. There's a little sign just there that says so. This is the queue, pre-show, whatever you want to call it, and station of Bandito. If I zoom out a little bit, you can see exactly what's going on in here. We've got the loading station here, the unloading station here. The path here is very temporary. That's just as a placeholder. The stuff that's permanent is this. This is the track layout for the opening act, shall we say, of the ride. I can't remember if I've told you this part already. So if I am repeating myself, as I said, 3 weeks it's been since I last recorded here, so yeah, apologies in advance. Essentially, it goes like this. You go into the bank, you're queuing up for the bank, which basically you're not queuing up, you're just acting normal, trying not to arouse suspicion. Here's one of your fellow gang members, I think. Yeah. I think he'll be a fellow gang member. I did have someone up here that was meant to represent the bank manager, because this is the bank manager's office where you get on the ride, but you couldn't actually see him. If I went down to eye level here, I couldn't position him in a way where you couldn't see his platform, but you could see him. So he's gone. He may come back. He might just be up in this bit. We'll see. But yeah, you meander your way around here. Ignore the queue. It's very, very temporary. And in fact, the queue is the reason I want to sort of talk to you about this part of the build. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, the build. Anyway, you meander your way through here. You then get to this bit where you walk in front of the teller's desks, and this is where you start to rob the bank, basically. So you don't hold up the clerks as such, but you ask to speak to the manager. You then get taken down this corridor. You go through some switchbacks. This is where the theming kind of pauses temporarily in the in the realms of theme park efficiency, you've got to have some switchbacks. And then you go up to the upper level. Now, as you see, there's two queues. We've got the priority and we've got the standby. In this instance here, they both wrap around each other here. The priority then just loops back immediately and goes into the priority entrance here. The main queue will come this way and go right the way around this on a balcony, and then it will come down here and go into this entrance here. That's what that looks like. On the outside, I haven't fully decided yet. There's going to be a lot of facades and stuff here hiding this. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of facades having to hide this. But at this point, when you board the ride, these are gold carts. That's basically what this is. So in terms of banks, back in the day, gold bullion is quite heavy. I've picked up a gold bar in the past at the Royal Mint in Perth in Western Australia. It was a showpiece. It wasn't. I don't even think it was real gold, but it was designed to weigh like real gold. They are heavy. My weight in gold is extortionate. So I imagined they'd have carts to push them around in, and that's what this is. So you get on board a gold cart. At this point, you are robbing the bank. And the manager is supposed to take you down to the vaults, except he's trying to make it as difficult as possible. So he pushes you towards the lift shaft here, except the lift isn't there, and that's where the ride starts. So you drop down into the basement of the bank. Again, the story kind of gets put on hold for a little bit here whilst you do these elements. Very much inspired by Saw the Ride at Thorpe Park, this bit. So it's a drop. Used to be beyond vertical, it's now not. I think it's 85 degrees, 82 degrees, something like that. I'm sort of looking, I'm restraining myself from getting a protractor and finding out. It's 80 something, I believe. Then you bottom out here, you go up this bit, a little bit of airtime, round into a curve here, up into the brakes, which are block brakes, but they won't, so once the train clears this, it won't be the next one dispatches for reasons that will become clear in a moment. We then go down this curve drop here, which keeps curving into this. It's not even a 0G roll. I guess it's more of an inline twist. It could be a 0G roll, actually. I need to check the stats. And then from there, you go around this curve, underneath the climb into the brakes there, into this set of brakes. And then this is where the ride starts proper. So this is on a downslope. The drive tyres here are on the level. This bit here is on an upslope. Now this is where I'm trying to make a decision, because there's going to be a little show scene that plays out. This set of limbs here, or they're not limbs actually, are they? They're LSMs. But this section here is going to be where the show scene plays out. So the train stops. There will be a vault one side or the other of the tracks. I think it's going to have to be on the left-hand side because the queue is just through that wall there. There'll be a vault door, and then there'll be a couple of bandits. There'll be an explosion. The vault door will swing open. And then the sheriff will appear, probably from this side actually, and start shooting across. The bandits will start shooting back, and then you get launched through the middle of it. You get launched over this airtime hill. There's a reason this exists. That'll become clear later on in the build as well. Dive down here, and then you go into the ride. Now, at the moment, this is very much temporary. I've already decided that this element here will stay, but will be built bigger. This one here will get moved, and you'll see why that is in a second. And when I say in a second, I mean in the next part. This building here is the exit / gift shop. It's actually going to be the Gold Light General Store. And I'm going to try and theme this ride where you cannot see the end of it from the beginning. So even when you're doing this element here, or whatever's going here, you won't be able to see this brake run. The idea being that you're supposed to feel like you're in a completely different location when you finish the ride, and then you go down the stairs through the gift shop out onto the street and you realize, oh, we're right next door. And that's the joke, because in jokes are always good in theme parks. The big in joke of this ride is you've gotten away with the gold, now let's go and spend it, and then you go down the stairs and straight into the gift shop. You know, that it's very much on the nose, but I love it. So I'm going to try and stick that in the story somewhere. Why am I talking to you then at this moment? Because this isn't finished, and I said I was going to come back, I believe, when this was all finished. The reason is queue lines and paths. My God, they're a pain in the arse. You can see already where I've tried to make this work, and this fence here used to look a little bit different to how it looks now, and I've had to go through and change it because I couldn't get it to work. I was using taggies. I believe that's how you pronounce it, T-A-G-I. his path system here, which is very good. It is very good, I'll admit that. However, it does run out of goodness a little bit when you elevate it off the ground. When you're doing it on the ground, like this is all perfect. And this is all perfect. Everything fits together. It somewhat snaps. Although one thing I haven't checked, actually, is... if I just put that there... yeah, this. It doesn't snap perfectly. And the problem I've had is I've watched his tutorial video. And in his... what was it? X. In his one, the path lines up with the axes here, whereas on mine, doesn't matter what I set it to, it doesn't. So I can't just do the straight line move. Now I think if I was to select all of that and then do X, oh wait, no, that still doesn't do it either. So that's annoying. And then I realized he had a second video where he said he'd found a way to do it without all the triangles, and that's this one here. So I've spent the best part of 4 hours putting all of these paths in. And now I'm going to go on a hunch and assume, and this could be a big mistake from me, assume that this method here is in fact easier. So I'm going to go away and watch that tutorial video and then hopefully use this instead of this, and we'll have a lovely set of queue lines here. I'm very, very happy with how this is coming along though. Even little things like putting these little cameos in the middle of the queue here. Star Tours does this at Disney quite well, where you're walking through the queue and you're kind of in the middle of everything. So there's stuff above you, there's stuff below you, there's stuff either side of you, and it really does feel like you're in a spaceport, really, rather than in a queue for a simulator ride. Other queues don't always do that. The ones where it's just narrow corridors, Disneyland Paris is kind of my go-to on this one. Pirates of the Caribbean, a lot of the queue there is quite boring because it's just cave walls and then fort walls and things like that, and there's not really much to look at. Even when you get the little glimpses down into the show scenes, there isn't really much to look at, and I think it's done that way by design, but at the same time it's not how I want to do things. So I'm quite happy with this, where there's stuff happening around you the whole time. And once the ceiling's in and we've got the lights in and things like that, I think it's going to look a lot nicer. There's also the fact I've tried to put the windows and the doors on the inside as well, because it would look weird if they're on the outside but not on the inside. Yeah, I think it works. There's also this gap here, where right now there's nothing, but eventually this is going to be part of the ride as well. And I might as well tell you, there's no need to surprise you on everything. This airtime hill here exists because when you drop from the clock tower, which is going to be over here-ish, you're going to go beyond vertical drop, down into a mine shaft, and then you're going to swing around here. And at this point here, it's actually going to be open to the elements, so the sunlight comes pouring in, and then you go back into the dark, and then you go underneath this, and here is where you... so I'm trying to think of how the curve would be. I think it would look more like this. So you kind of come in underneath this at an angle, and then you come out in this direction into the next element, and then you do the second half of the ride all in this space, and then it finishes with a brake run, and then you go around into this brake run. And this is going to be the transfer track as well, or at least this one directly outside the station is. So that's a block brake there, this drive tyre, that brake there. That's the transfer track, and it's going to slide along in this direction, and the maintenance shed will be here above the vault show scene. So there's kind of a lot condensed into this area, but I think it will work really, really well once it's complete. There is also the small fact of where do the vehicles go when they go for maintenance. This isn't going to be a sheer rock face, by the way. This is going to be landscaped a little more carefully. It's going to be trees and rocks and things like that. It's going to look a lot nicer. Very lovely. Right. I'm going to create 2 versions of this save file now. One with the path as it is here. And then I'm going to create another one where I'm going to rip all of this out and replace it with the new method and see which one works best. So wish me luck. I'll see you on the other side. So as it turns out, Mark is the Muppet. I was watching the wrong tutorial of Taggies, and I went back and watched the right tutorial. It's still not 100% perfect. There are still some elements of this that I would want to change. For example, this section here, if I show you the issue, I can't actually get at a node. So I can put that one... in fact, I can't even put that one there. Can't move it. I think it's because it's locked to that one now. And there's also an issue here where if I move this one too far to the left, yeah, you can see it's even though I'm moving it away from that one, it's trying to connect to that one. So we end up with this weird shape. However, ow, just punched my desk. I keep punching my desk. That's a regular feature, it seems. I have checked with the latest update of Planet Coaster, or the latest update that is coming soon. Maze update, that's the word I was looking for. And invisible paths will be a thing. So I think at that point, I can turn off the railings here and stuff anyway, and it won't even be an issue because you won't even see the path, which will be a huge, huge help indeed. But as for the queue in here now, it's basically done. It's all connected up. If I go through into this room, you'll see now this is where Taggy is a genius. The cattle pen stuff works really, really well. There are some elements where it's not perfectly straight. You can see here, for example, this is not a parallel line with the wall here. It actually goes at a slight angle. But I've managed to get all of this in using these pre-made pieces, which I'm really, really happy about. I think it looks really cool. And I am going to go back to this scene here and do the same thing again with some pieces. As for the exterior queue here, I don't need to worry too much about it. I can use freehand. It was only where it was in tight situations like this, excuse me, that I actually needed to worry about it. And to be honest, in this room at least, the only bit where I've actually used Taggy's piece is here. And even then, it was actually in the wall a little bit, so I had to move the lines out. This area here was built freehand, turned off the curve and built it in like that. And then this bit over here was Taggy as well. But the rest of it is all... I laid out Taggy's templates as a placeholder and then went through and redid it all with freehand. I think it turned out really cool. I quite like it. On to the more crucial matter then, the track. Now, no coaster is complete without its track. This track is nowhere near complete. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it. I just can't settle on a layout that I'm 100% happy with. I think one of the big issues is order of elements. So originally I had a dive loop and then another dive loop straight after it, then a banana roll, and then a 0G roll. As you can see here now, I've got it as a dive loop, banana roll with a weird crossover thing. More on that in a minute. Then an Immelman, which sits in this area here, which I did like, but it's just, it doesn't really work how I wanted it to. That also goes into sort of a Hyperia element, but in reverse. So Hyperia does the roll, then the long bit, and then the dive. This does the Immelman, the stall, that's the word I was looking for, and then the twist. So I'm going to put my thinking cap on here and come up with an alternative, because this in theory would have worked really well, but I just don't like it. So I've come up with another idea, which is to actually utilize the land over here and have a dive loop, a camelback or an airtime pop, then an Immelman. So we kind of form an extended Norwegian loop, and then from there there'll be a turnaround over here that then goes into the banana roll, which then goes into the element after that. Now I reckon I can probably leave this banana roll where it is. So my plan is to remove all of the track between the dive loop and the banana roll, and then to remove the track from the banana roll onwards. And then when I rebuild all of this, I'm hoping to do the same thing as I did with Hades over here, where this element here I actually built the other way around. So the train originally entered where it's currently exiting. If I play it, you can see there. So it used to dive down here and go into the overbank this way. When I rebuilt it, I didn't have to rebuild the element. I literally just joined the track up in the opposite direction and it worked. So I'm hoping it will let me do that again, because that'd be really, really cool. So I'm going to go away. I'm going to rebuild this opening section here, and we're hopefully going to have a nice 0G roll. Maybe not here, but more over here, going over the path. And actually, I've just had another really good idea. I will show you what that is in just a second. Okay, we're back literally weeks later. Apologies for this video taking so long to produce, but I've had a lot of other things going on at the same time. And then this one, oh man, this has taken such a lot of rebuilding. But we are in a position where I think this is going to be the final layout for this stage of the ride. So let me talk you through it, and then I'll talk you through what the next steps are. So we launch out of here at 30 miles an hour. We go over this hill that has no stators. We then hit this hill, this launch, which takes you up to 65 miles an hour. Also technically makes this a multi-launch coaster because we've got two separate launch sections there. We then go up into this top hat, which is going to be one of the signature elements of the ride, along with that one over there, but we'll talk about that one in a minute. This here then, it takes you up a vertical top hat. At the top, it rolls you onto your side, then it inverts you here, and I hope this counts as an inversion because technically you're still traveling in this direction at this point, and then you hit the dive loop section, which I think is really cool. The path here is going to have to change, and the path here is going to have to change, but I think what I'm going to do is reroute half of it that way, leave the other half where it is, have this as a little garden planter area, because these supports are quite large. And then for this area over here, I think the path's going to curve more around the back of it, but we'll see. That then takes you into this hill here, Speed Hill, which is still, you know, a significant height off the ground, considering it's a speed hill. I think here as well, we're going to do some work with the landscapes, try and get it to follow the terrain, or get the terrain to follow the train, as it were. Get it to follow the track as close as possible. We then hit the third launch, this one here. This is just a little speed holder, this one. Takes it back to 60 miles an hour. I think it slows down to like 55 by this point, and we need it at 60, not for this Immelmann, but for what comes after it. But I love the shaping of this. So it goes up into the Immelmann, pretty round at the top. I was originally having it as a stall, but we have one of those over there on Zeus. So I don't want two next to each other. That was the other tricky thing about this, is we've got two launch coasters right next to this one. So I was trying to make elements that were completely different from Mack, basically. So we got Gerstlauer, we got Mack. What do? They are very different beasts in the grand scheme of things, but at the same time, you know, launch into Inversion is very, very similar. Hence why I went with the top hat in the end. So I thought that was something that a Gerstlauer could do that a full train Mack wouldn't be able to do. A Big Dipper or a Striker might be able to do it, but not a you know, a spinning coaster or a just conventional launched Mack coaster. Also, this looked huge a few episodes ago. Look how small it looks now with Bandito in the background. It's crazy. Anyway, Speed Hill, launch, Immelmann. This is the shaping I really like. The roll off of the Immelmann into this left-hander. Look at that. Really like that. That then takes you into this element here, which is subject to change. This is the only part of it I think is going to change. And if I do change it, I think I'm going to change it back into the dive loop that we had before. So here it would rise up, dive down next to the path here, and then turn into this corner here. And then we rise up into the banana roll, which I'm debating making visible from the path somewhere. I mean, having a view line here would be pretty cool. Also, this is not my best work, I'll admit that. The shaping of this element is something I want to work on. I've had so many images up of banana rolls. The one on TMNT Shellraiser, the one on Takabisha, the one on Ride to Happiness. The Ride to Happiness one is the one I wanted to base this off of originally. But for that to work, it has to go in this side and out this side. Although I think Ride to Happy... No, it does come in on the right and go out on the left. And then this curve here would be too sharp. So I like the crossover element. It's just the shaping of it. I think it's because we get a little too close to the gift shop here. So what I could do is try and rebuild this element as it is, but further to the right. I wanted it to get as close as possible. And if I remove some of these supports, it will be as close as possible. But I'm not a fan. It could be a candidate for custom supporting, mind. We'll see. I don't want to commit to that because I committed to that with Poseidon over there. And that took like 3 hours to do. So I don't know what this would do. We're not going to focus on that right now. Anyway, banana roll. So a really elongated banana roll. It does uninvert you. So it goes up to 140 something here, I think. It uninverts you to 110, I think it is. And then it inverts you again here drops back down, and then rises up into another signature element of the ride, the roll over the path. Now, I said 0G roll in the last bit, but this is very much more of a stretched out corkscrew now. But again, remove these supports here, create a custom structure. The idea being that there will be facades here and here, and you walk down. In fact, they might not even be facades. They might just be, you know, town wall kind of thing. And then you walk through the gate into Goldlight itself, and the coaster flies over the top of you. There will be some kind of netting structure here, though, I imagine, because, yeah, people leaving loose articles in their pockets, they've ruined it for everyone. Coming out of the corkscrew, we go into another element. This is another reason why I wanted to rebuild this one, is because we've got the same element twice. You know, the roll into the right-hander here, except this one is a looser curve, which this one should have been the tighter one, to be honest, but hey-ho. And I do want to cram another inversion into this stage of the ride. You'll see why in a second. We then rise up into the brakes. This is the point of the story of the ride where they escape to their hideout, which is going to be in the upstairs of a hotel in the town. And I'm going to try and squeeze all this in, but the train's still moving 20 miles an hour through this. But I was going to have it as they go into their hideout and the sheriff's waiting for them. So then they have to leave again, and then we drop down. Now, this was a really tricky part of the ride to build because we ran out of steam, basically. This is as high as I could make this brake run whilst keeping the speed I wanted. So, yeah, we ran into this situation where we dropped down out of the hotel, and I wanted a vertical loop, but I wanted a round 360 loop that the Infinity Coaster has, because I wanted Manic Miner, the mine train coaster, to actually pass through it. That's now no longer an option because we just don't have the momentum. The highest I could get was this, and an elongated corkscrew was the option. Now, I tried to have it do this and then dive down into said loop, but we end up dropping so far underground that the top of the loop is here. And even with the 360 one, there isn't enough clearance unless I dig the mine train coaster down as well, which I didn't want to do. So, yeah, we're stuck with this. This is kind of the meandering section of the ride. The tension is there, but the elements aren't, if that makes sense. But yeah, we go into the roll here. We then come round into this sort of speed hill. It really isn't much of one. And then that brings us down and round into this roll here, which is kind of similar to the one that we've got indoors over here. But I think it's different enough. This one's straighter for a start. And it's a lot flatter. But yeah, we go into this slow roll here, and then that rises us up into this, which is the actual, mid-course brakes. Then we roll around here, and we go into what is probably going to be the postcard everybody buys. This is the clock tower. This is the famous clock tower. Now, if you remember Bandito from the old Global Ventures, you will remember what this is. Big climb. I can't actually remember what the height is here. 37 meters, which is, let me just check that, 37 meters in feet, 121 foot, which I think for this coaster is about right. This over here is also a 121 foot drop. So, yeah, believe it or not though, these are the same height. They don't look it, but they are the same height. In fact, this looks a little bit taller from this side. I think it's height off the ground, though. So, yeah, that would be the same height as that one is, but this one's a couple of meters lower, as you can see. However, this one's going to have a taller drop because we're dropping down underground. I don't know what's happened with the length here. No, other way, please. There we go. So this drops down underground. There's going to be a hole here with a path around it where people can stand and watch. And this is going to woof down into the hole and disappear. Kind of like Oblivion at Alton Towers. And with this being the town square here, this is a nice focal point. You'll also notice it's directly opposite the bank. From here, the track will come down, curve slightly to the right, swing to the left, through this, what will eventually be a gap here, underneath this, and then around and then into the second half of the ride. Now, the reason I want one more inversion here is I wanted this to hit the sweet 16 in terms of inversions. And right now we are on 8. That's the one in here. That's 1. 2 on the top hat. 3 in the dive loop, or sorry, the Immelman. 4 and 5 in the banana roll. 6 in the corkscrew here. 7 in this, whatever this is, wraparound corkscrew. And 8 in the 0G heartline, whatever you want to call this, here. That's fine. But I think if I put a 9th one in here, which I really think I could do, even if it's just like an overbank or a cutback or something, I really feel like I could add one here, even if it's, again, just a dive loop or something that then takes us into the banana roll. I feel like this is a prime candidate for another inversion. And then we've got these 2 inversions next to each other as well, which would look cool for photographs and stuff. But that takes us to 9, which then means we only need 7 in the back half. And I'm worried that this is not going to carry enough momentum when it comes out of here to be able to do 7 inversions. That's the bit I'm worried about. Now, the final element of the ride is going to be a... I don't know what they call it. The last 2 elements of Mystery Mine at Dollywood, where it does a heartline roll upwards and then half a heartline roll and then a dive loop. Whatever that's called. I want one of those. So we need the momentum to do that. We also need the momentum for... Excuse me 1 second. Excuse me. Hay fever has hit me like a train this year, so I'm sneezing constantly. We need to get 5 more inversions in before that one, even. So even if we do... I was tempted to do a cobra roll coming out of here, or a sea serpent, maybe. Something like out of the Smiler. Maybe even the bowl area of the Smiler, where they've got the 2... Is it a cobra roll and a bow tie or something? Back to back? Or, you know, not back to back, but intertwined within each other. Something like that, maybe. But I don't know. The main thing is, I think the ride's footprint now is only going to occupy this area at the back here, which means what I thought it was going to do, which was come out here, is no longer on the table, which I'm actually quite happy with, because that means all of this area back here is devoted to Manic Miner, plus a little section that will come around here, but not too much, although even that is going to be a task in itself, so maybe that's not the case anymore. Maybe it only comes out to like here. Because originally we were going to have... That's another reason why I wanted the loop, because I wanted Manic Miner to thread through it and all that stuff. But yeah, that's not happening now. That's fine though. We adapt. We overcome. The other problem I've got is the railway needs to squeeze through here somewhere. So I think what the railway is going to do now, because the old jailhouse dark ride is going to be here, with a facade along here. So I think we'll run the railway more this way, curve it round, through the old jailhouse building, out this side, and then it's going to run along the back of the hotel here, along the back of Bandito here, and then here is where it turns, and it will go into its station over here on the town square. And that's actually pretty perfect. I almost feel like I want to build that now so I don't forget. Let's see if I can do that. So here, yeah, we do more of this, and then here we swing back around this way. This is going to be interesting. Like, how much of the building here do we actually want to go through? Because we could skirt this way and along the path instead. But I think I want the railway and the path to be somewhat separate again for a bit, because here they're right next to each other, and that is quite an embankment. What I've done here, you see, is built the path at completely the wrong height. Because climbing out of Soul of the Amazon was more of a task than I thought. So, let's just build placeholder track for now. Because what I really want to get in place is the station. I don't really care about this section, he says, whilst caring a little bit about this section. So let's do this. Are we still climbing at this point? No, we're not. That's fine. So yeah, here it's going to jump this way a little bit. Jump this way a little bit. Along the back here. And then yeah, here it's where it's going to do its turn. What angle do I want this at? I think here. Maybe a little more of a curve. Like so. Then we want the station. Now, I think what I want here, because I want all the entrances and exits to be on the same side. which means it's going to have to go on the right hand side, which is kind of the opposite of what I wanted, but we'll go with it. 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I think that is what it needs to do. And then it goes on. So yeah, it's quite elevated above the town square here, but I think I'm alright with that. And then over here there'll be a bridge that people walk under, and then all of this area here is Manic Miner, including a little bit over here as well. And I kind of like that, so it's bounded now. Bandito is bordered by the railway, and then the other side of the railway can be the mountain, and the mountain will rise above all of this. So chances are, if you're stood down here in the town square, that is quite tall though. That is quite high. But anyway, you've got the railway there, and then the other side of it, you've got a mountain rising up with a mine train coaster running through it. I think that's kind of cool. So yeah, next steps then. Now that we've got to this stage, we know where the town square is going to go. We know where facades and things are going to go. The steakhouse restaurant is probably going to be over this side now, with a path going around it that way and a path going around it that way. That path will then go into a little plaza for Manic Miner, but it will also come back out this way, because I believe there's a path that yeah, right now I've got two paths that go. So one this way, this side of the railway, and then one that goes underneath, loops around and comes back. I think what I might do is make the Manic Miner one a dead end, and then have this one go round the back of the steakhouse and descend back down into City of the Future, which is the next area, which is over here. And then we'll have one this side of the steakhouse that goes into its own plaza, where the Bandito queue will start, because that needs to run across all of this. And then yeah, that will all be next time though, because right now I think I need to end this episode. This is the longest production of an episode I think I've ever had. I've been going for literally 2 months, it feels like I've been recording this episode for. Maybe I've seen 2 updates since I started this, which to me is an excessive amount of time. I think what I do need to do here is, and this might actually change the landscape of this part of the ride as well, because I think this needs to be a more gradual slope, all of this, and then let's say it reaches the top of its incline here and then runs flat through the show building, and then even here it might need to descend slightly, because this needs to run along the back of City of the Future. Although that can run, if it ran over here, it can just follow the terrain then, and then there'll be like a cliff edge with the city in. I don't know. We'll see about that. But yeah, I need to wrap this video up, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Next time, we'll hopefully get the track layout done for Bandito at least, if not the theming. And then the episode after that, we'll come in and we'll finish the theming as best we can. So until then, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. And of course, if you're enjoying the series so far, drop those comments down below. Let me know what you think of this. If you think it's good, if you think it's bad, all that good stuff. And what you think of the railway and all, yeah, just everything. Let me know what you think. I think by the time the next episode comes out as well, we'll actually have gift shops in the game. So that makes this a lot easier. And at some point, we're going to go back and rebuild this one, Greek Antiquities. We're going to finish the Vineyard one. The one under here might get redone. Although on-ride photos are coming in June, I believe. So that might be what that is for. It's just an on-ride photo shop. Same up here. We can actually build an on-ride photo shop, which will be exciting. And then we're going to rebuild Main Street here. Keep the facades, but rebuild them all as actual gift shops, which can be very cool and very exciting. And we also need to rebuild Foods of the World. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be rebuilt, but the park is looking pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. But yeah, let me know what you think about the game and all that stuff down below. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. It really does help me out. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you for your continued support. Like I said, really helps me out. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and until next time, I will see you soon.